Good morning. So I'm from Iran, and I would like to talk about Artemia activities in Iran. So first, I would like to first say about some things about potentials of Iran for aquaculture development. Iran is a big country, and we have two big water resources in North Caspian Sea and in South Persian Gulf and Oman Sea. And you can see that we are having shrimp culture, about 40,000 hectares in just beside the Caspian Sea, one, and in the four provinces in the south of Iran in green color. And we have, of course, a lot of sturgeon fish culture, which also the hatcheries need Artemia, and it is spread in 22 different provinces. And also we have marine fish culture, which is started just a few years ago, and only in 3 provinces in south of Iran. Currently, the production of Iran in terms of fishery capture and aquaculture is about like 700,000 capture and more than 550,000 aquaculture activities. Of course, it is mostly on warm water fishes and cold water fishes, but the shrimp culture is growing very fast, and the program of the government and the Iranian Fishery Organization is to develop the aquaculture activities, mainly focusing on shrimp and marine fish, because the drought condition in Iran is expanding so much during the last few years, and we have to depend mostly on the saline waters, and therefore the focus will be on shrimp and marine fish culture to increase the whole aquaculture production to about 1 million tons in next 3-4 years. So for that purpose, we need Artemia. Currently, something like 40 tons of Artemia cyst are used in Iran. But if we have to develop the activities for the next few years, we will need about 70 tons of Artemia cyst. So so for that, we have to import it or we have to produce it. Urmia Lake was the second largest Artemia biotope, natural Artemia biotope in the world. In 1996, Professor Sorgulos and his team studied the lake and reported more than 3,000 tons of Artemia cyst were used to be produced at that time. But unfortunately, you can see the picture, the drought condition in the lake Urmia has been so grave during last 2 decades, and now 2 other studies that I performed in 2006 and just last year, and you can see the drop of the production so much, and now it is impossible to harvest any cyst from the lake Urmia, and therefore we have to focus on the production of Artemia. We have a lot of experience on this issue since last almost 25 years now. We have been working on pilot projects and bigger projects for Artemia production, and mostly we are focusing on unconventional water resources. So in this, I'm just explaining a little bit about few of the studies that we have been doing during currently about Artemia parthenogenetic culture in north of Iran, near something near to the Urmia Lake. But here, mostly they're focusing on the biomass production in about 100 hectares. About 20 tons of biomass is sold to the shrimp and sturgeon fish hatcheries and broodstock development. We have production of Artemia franciscana in south of Iran. So we have 2 sites, 50 hectares and almost 110 hectares. And the water sources are Persian Gulf water or the brackish groundwater mixed with agricultural drainage. So both of them, we had very good results. About 2 tons of dry Artemia cysts have been marketed every year from these 2 locations, and of course about 20 to 25 tons of Artemia biomass. We have another project which started this year. It is just, we have separated a smaller part of the Lake Urmia by a dike, about 55 hectares. And here we are producing Artemia URMIANA. But here we are using another source of unconventional water, that is urban sewage treatment plant and salty groundwater, in order to have enough salty water for the Artemia, because Artemia urmiana due to the drought and very severe environmental changes has adapted to very to a much more higher salinities, and therefore we are doing it in salinities higher than 120 ppt. But we have very good future plans for Artemia production. Now there are 3 private companies are investing a few $1 million of fund for the production of Artemia in south of Iran, which is mainly focused in 2 areas, in the Chabahar port area in southeast of Iran, and also in near Bandar Abbas desalination plant, where we will use the effluent from the desalination plant. You can see on the right picture. Between 300 to 500 hectares are being found. We are looking to the proper place, proper site, and fishery organization is helping a lot in this issue now. And also in this Chabahar port area, which is just closer to the Pakistan border, we will using Oman Sea and the desalination effluent. These are being supported by the private sector, as I said. Of course, it has not yet started, but the sites are being almost found, and the activities will be started very soon to prepare the ponds. But here we are making big ponds, because smaller ponds are very it is more expensive. So each pond will be of about 20 hectares. And we are looking forward that we can produce about, in each 300 hectares, something like 27 tons of dry cyst of Artemia franciscana. So now I'll give you a brief introduction about few of the Artemia projects that we have been doing during last 2 years. The papers are not published mostly. They are all under review currently. A PhD thesis, because as we are going to use all these different unconventional water resources, so we thought of doing a specific research on understanding the water salinity, the best water salinity for the production. Of course, we just tried 2 salinities of 60 and 120 ppt. Using all these unconventional water resources, and we found the best result we obtained was with 120 ppt desalination plant effluent for the Artemia franciscana, but for the Artemia urmiana also 120, but there was a very significant difference in terms of production and growth and reproduction in both of them, because Artemia urmiana has adapted during last few years to very high salinity. So even 120 seems to be very less for them. So they need even still higher salinity. In another project, we studied the use of selenium nanoparticles enriched rotiferan Artemia franciscana for feeding yellow sea bream larvae. We made emulsions by ourselves. Emulsions contained oil and ascorbyl palmitate, and also the selenium emulsion nanoparticles. And we found that in terms of growth and survival, 1 ppm is giving the best result, which the paper is under review currently. In another study, as Professor Sani mentioned a few minutes ago about HSP70, my colleague and myself, we have been doing a project on effect of prolonged ecological changes on the morphometrics and gene expression profile. And we found that, we collected the cysts of different years from 1994 to 2022. cysts were decapsulated, hatched, and grown up to instar 2 for the genetic analysis. And adults were harvested to 2020 and compared with the previous results that we had during past years. And we found that the size of Artemia urmiana has reduced significantly, but surprisingly, only the forecast size comparatively has become larger because Artemia urmiana had very little foreca. But what is the exact function of that increase, we have to find out in future. And also the size of the male to female also has reduced a lot during these years. But in terms of HSP70, we found that in all groups of these different years that we have studied, significant induction of HSP70 more than 4 times compared to the control of 1994. Because in 1994, the water salinity was much lower, but gradually it has increased. And this is also another issue that this heat shock protein or protein resistant, giving resistance to the Artemia in terms of different environmental shocks, has shown itself that especially in 2020, when the salinities in this year, it is more than 300 ppt always. So the HSP70 has been expressed more than 7 times compared to 1994. And in another study, we did a monitoring of the Lake Urmia and resource assessment of Artemia, as I mentioned earlier. So monitoring was first done by Professor Patrick Sorgros during 5 years of 1992 to 1995. And then later years, I have been doing that. But during just in 2022, when we studied and we found that the lake has changed very extensively in terms of geomorphology. So the Iranian government has been trying a lot, because this is an internationally preserved lake, has a lot of importance in terms of not only Artemia but also as a big inland saline lake. And therefore preservation has been a main focus for the government of Iran also during all these years, because if it is drying up, we are having something like 8 billion tons of salt in the lake now. You can see in the right picture, the white area is just salt. So it has been estimated like 8 billion tons of salt, and if it is dried, then we are going to have a big salt desert just very close to the Urmia city. And therefore, a lot of effort has been done during these past years, and government has spending a lot of money also. But unfortunately, due to the drought condition and very little inflow of fresh water to the lake, we are losing that. And therefore, for the first time, I remember Professor Sorglos and me, we proposed that only a part of the lake is better to be conserved rather than whole lake, because we don't have enough fresh water for the whole lake. So we thought that due to this extensive changes in geomorphology of the lake, the water is spread very fast in a whole big area and evaporated very fast. And therefore, we thought that even if we restore only 1/3 of the Lake Urmia, because we have seen it during last few years when there was a good rainfall and a good inflow. Just in 2 months, we saw a very high density of Artemia emerging, because there are lots of Artemia cysts under the salt. And when there is inflow of the fresh water, they immediately hatch, and then there is a very big population of Artemia. So, and of course, I can say that illegal catches have been done during the last 2-3 years. Every year, about 50 to 60 tons of cyst. But if this 1/3 of the lake is recovered or restored, we believe that more than 500 tons of cyst could be produced there. I think this could be one of the issues that the IAAC also could consider on working on that, or giving some recommendations to the government of Iran that saving the lake by this method could be very helpful, not only to preserve a part of the lake, but also to have enough Artemia production for development of our aquaculture activities, and also it could be also exported to foreign countries. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Prof. Naser, for the amazing sharing.